Today I'm going to rank some historical-ish books. So we're going to start with My Lady Jane. This book, it tells you right in the beginning that this is history plus magic. So history just exemplified in the most fun and she says basically whenever there's a chance to just make history a little bit better by tweaking it and adding a little splash of magic, she does that. But it still feels historical. It still feels really fun. I loved this book so much. Again, I don't know that I can say it's part of my personality. There are only a handful of books I can really put up there. But this book was so fun. I highly recommend this book. I I understand there was a series made of this, like a Netflix series or something. I don't remember for sure, but unfortunately I watched the trailer for it and there was an F-bomb and it looks like they go into, more Bridgerton type territory. The book is not like that at all. It is perfectly clean. Yeah, it was really cute. I don't remember there being any language at all and nothing salacious. There were a couple times I was a little nervous because, well, some of the characters can turn into animals, and I was like, oh no, if we're doing romance in that manner, maybe it'll get weird, but it never got weird. So I was very grateful for that. Very clean, very fun. And I learned about history, even though I have to take that history with a grain of salt because there was magic there too. All right, so something a little more historical, Les Miserables. Of course, this is one of my very favorite musicals. I love it. I could even say, especially for the musical, maybe it's part of my personality, but I had to listen to the audio for this one because I knew I did not have the stamina to read such a long book. And I distinctly remember there was one entire disc devoted to talking about the Abbey, just describing the Abbey for an hour of this one disc. And I remember thinking, oh no, did I space out? Did I miss the point where Jean Valjean walks into the Abbey with Cosette? And then no, I put in the next disc, and that's when they walked into the Abbey. So an entire hour just describing the Abbey and the nuns before we got there. So while I do love this story, oh, it was so challenging to read. I'm gonna have to put in enjoy. No, I'll put it in made me think because, reading the book, it did make me see some of the characters a little differently, especially Eponine. Just learning a little bit more about the characters, it made me think about them a little differently. So let's go to something less historical. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This one for sure made me think. It is so fascinating how your sinful deeds are visible in your face, but of course he made the deal with the devil to stay youthful and beautiful forever. I could potentially put this up with part of my personality because I adore this book. And there was an adaptation that I own on DVD. It was I think it was a stage production that they filmed. I can't remember for sure, but I love this so much. Where to put it? I will put it in made me think just because not that it's any lower than some of the others, but just it really does make you think. It's so fascinating. I love this. I love Oscar Wilde. Let's do another Oscar Wilde. I just threw it in here to be with its friend. The Importance of Being Earnest. I love this one. I think just because when I was doing an after school theater program at a high school I worked at, I I put this performance on as my first ever directorial thing where it was a career, not for class. So this was the first ever play I produced. I cut it down to be like a 40-minute or an hour production, and we did that. It was so fun. I love Oscar Wilde. He's great. Okay, moving on. Let's do, oh goodness. Let's do Little House on the Prairie. I don't have a lot to say about this one. I I know this is a well beloved for so many people, and there's like the TV show or whatever. I've never seen the TV show. I barely listened through the to the audiobook for this. Um, I don't know. I don't think I like prairie life very much. I don't like reading about prairie life, not pilgrims, pioneers. I don't know. It just doesn't really jive for me. So sorry, I'm not a fan of this one. Nothing against it, and those of you who love it, that's great. It's just not my personal cup of tea. Um, and then let's go ahead and do A Midsummer Night's Dream. This one is my favorite Shakespeare play. It's the first Shakespeare play I got to see live. I saw it at my dad's high school where he worked. And I just thought it was the funniest thing, and it had fairies, it was whimsical. I was definitely, at that age, I was definitely very much into my Lord of the Rings phase, so anything with fairies or, you know, mystical creatures and stuff. So I will put that as part of my personality. I still have my main email is Midsummer Dreamer. So anyway, that is huge in my life. I love that play and, you know, the script. All right, and adaptations of this one. Shout out to my cousin Robin who made Yes, I'm an Author, which is a modern adaptation of Midsummer Night's Dream. So shout out to her. And let's see, let's go ahead and do Pride and Prejudice. Who doesn't love Pride and Prejudice? That would be me. I'm sorry, guys. I am really sorry. I love the movies, and I did listen to the audio because I got like 30 or 40 pages into this. Like I said before, I am not a fast reader. If it's dense or old-timey, it's harder for me to read. And so I apologize. I didn't love it. It's not that I don't like the story. Like I said, I enjoy the movies. Anyone who's like, "Oh, let's watch a Jane Austen movie." I'm down for it. It's not my first choice, but I don't know. So I enjoy the storylines. I enjoy the adaptations, the movies, and I saw a musical version of this while I was in Utah. So yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I am not a Jane Austen girly. All right, the last historical-ish book for today is The Scarlet Pimpernel. And I will say this 100% goes up is as part of my personality. Um, I will say the book itself, I I'm not as much of I'm not as much of a fan of the book itself. I really love the musical though, and I am grateful to Baroness Orczy for, or however you pronounce her name, for creating this book. Um, so that it could be a musical, and so it could be movies with Ian McKellen and other people, the A&E with Richard Grant, and I love The Scarlet Pimpernel. Definitely part of my personality. Um, all right, so those are my historical-ish books and their rankings.